Hi FIO girls, welcome back to another installment of our End Emotional Eating, which I've promised you. And sorry for the little hiccup over the last week or two. But anyway, look, what we were focusing on was our picture card, and we'd done our first step, which was to find our end picture, and then we were to create a written description. Now, step 3, this week's step, I'm afraid to tell you that this is by far and away the hardest step. Step 4 actually gets easier, but step 3, your job this week is now to begin to act out the part, because it's like you've created a new role for yourself, and like any actor or actress, I want you to step into that role, and I want you to act like you're already that person that is in your picture card. So can you see that that might be really challenging? So what I'm going to do is just give you a very small example of something that I did to help you perhaps make some changes for yourself. So I remember not having worn what I would call shorty shorts for over a decade, like 15 odd years. I decided that it was about time that I started to train, even though I was at 42% body fat, in a pair of shorty shorts. Lorna Jane, I'd call them micro shorts. And to say that I was uncomfortable would be the most massive understatement. And I clearly remember driving to Derrimut's with my girlfriend, and I actually broke out in a sweat under my armpits, and I was feeling this massive anxiety. And it took me quite a while to get out of the car, because I really didn't want to train in the shorts. I've always covered up to at least like down to here, or possibly just worn like, you know, funky leggings or tracky pants or whatever. So it was a really big deal for me to suddenly kind of put my thighs and my bottom out there, if you know what I mean. And even though I was distinctly uncomfortable, and I admit that I kept looking and catching sight of dimples in the mirror, a funny thing happened. No man actually walked up to me, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Oh my God, you are just too fat, Ingrid. You have to leave the gym and go home and get changed." Like, you know, nobody said a word. And you know what? I think sometimes we think so much about ourselves, so much more than what other people do, that we forget that they're not really giving a flying, you know what, about what we're wearing. So the judgment I'm going to ask you is just to step out of your comfort zone and do those things that are more in line with what you've got in your picture card. So I'm not suggesting some Pollyanna type of thinking, but I am saying take small steps every day to move closer to that person that is on your picture card. Let me give you another example of something that I want you to do. Let's say that you're in a social situation and you're around food, and food's been offered to you left, right and centre. Okay, this is a couple of things that I did, because I took my picture card everywhere, and this included to my brother's wedding. And what I did was, at one point, I actually took myself off, and I went to the toilet, closed the door, put the lid down on the toilet and just sat there, put out my picture card. I reread it and I reread it, and I only spent 3 or 4 minutes there, but I kind of got my head back in the game as to what my greater plan was and what I was doing. And then I put myself back out there on the table with my partner and got on with the wedding, and I was in a really good mental space. And what I'm suggesting is that if you carry your picture card on your person and you're in a social situation where there is food around, being able to just touch your picture card in your pocket or know that it's in your handbag, what I want to ask you to do is you ask yourself, how would that person in my picture card right now respond to this situation? And then your job is to try to do that. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's going to work every time, but what if it works 70% of the time, which becomes 80% of the time, which then becomes 90% of the time? Before you know it, you have literally stepped into that positive new role, and you are already acting like the person it is that you want to be. So again, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's not easy, but I want you to begin to practice that. So that's your task this week, okay? Act out the part of your picture card. And stay tuned, because next week is really exciting. It's not such a hard fourth step, but we're going to learn how to cement that so that you don't fall back into old habits of that self-concept of thinking that you are less than. Okay, thanks for tuning in. If you need to read more, go to www.bodyconquest.com.au. You can speed up the process and do the End Emotional Eating course online with me. That's just delivered over 4 weeks, and of course is quite intense one-on-one. Or join our YouTube channel at Body Conquest. And I will see you on FIO soon. Okay, lots of love, girls. Bye.